Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Doom 2016. So I assume, and I may have said this a couple of times before, that we are at the end of the game and this is the final level. There's an area we're about to jump into in which we're going to fight a bunch of demons, and then we'll work our way around and fight another bunch of demons in this area. Then I assume we're going to have to jump down into this platform and do a final big fight. As far as challenges, we're supposed to kill 2 Barons of Hell with 1 shot and kill 25 demons with 1 BFG. We're getting a pretty high amount of BFG elements. Weapons, we've kind of got everything as upgraded as I really cared to. I guess there's really just maybe only 1 upgrade, 2, 3 upgrades that I could even do, because so many of these upgrades are master challenges that would require other things. So yeah, there's a couple here that I could do, and then 1 there. So clearly I would have to play the game a second time. 1 there. What happens here, though, and what I've come to realize, is that for better or worse, Doom 2016, yeah, so there's about 5 upgrades. For better or worse, Doom 2016 has ruined the way you played the original Doom game, in which you would have run around the levels trying to get as much ammo, health, and armor before you move to the next level, and also unlock as many weapons as you could find at a previous level if you needed those weapons. There's 0 chance that you would make it to the end of this game without finding every single weapon. I assume as much, yeah, because storyline wise you have to get the BFG and the chainsaw. I'm fairly certain you couldn't miss that, and any other gun that you somehow missed. If you can miss any of them, maybe you can't, you would have picked up just as soon as you found another copy of that gun laying around. So there's not really any reason to not just run through the levels kind of as quickly as possible and try and speedrun this game, although this doesn't really feel like the levels are designed to be speedrun. They feel like multiplayer levels still. We've got a ton of collectibles that really wanted in Doom 1 or Doom 2, and these runes, that there was none of that. Although there were cheat codes, so there might have been something slightly, there might have been a cheat code slightly like a rune, but not really. There was definitely no RPG elements in Doom before, so upgrading these type of things, which I guess I would need 2 more Praetor suits, and I'm not going to find those before the end of the game. The fact that you can use the chainsaw on an enemy to refill your bullets is a really cool concept, but it does kill the way you had to play Doom in the past, where you kind of had to learn and memorize the map. Looking at these maps, I don't think anybody
must not be allowed to free them.
See, this feels like I might be... We're destroying these things that are sending energy up to this thing, and that is in some way that is potentially freeing somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if this demonic voice that's just coming everywhere is actually Sam Hayden. So what we need to look here is, I don't see any kind of like power up. There's 1 way over here, so I could try and find the couple of instances of the imps, but it's really not necessary. Alright, so I want to pick up this so I can be berserk, so I can find some people to punch as fast as possible. Where are they? Yeah. So use as much of the power up as possible, as quickly as possible. Alright, so moving around. The problem with these fights is they either get really easy or they stop being super fair. And then you end up dying a lot. These environments are kind of cool looking, but not looking cool enough that you really would want to do research and search around them. This lava does not hurt me at all. I'm using the wrong gun here. I should use something else. These are medium tier enemies, and I'd have no need to use top tier weapons on medium tier enemies. Not using the grenade at all. We've got enough to fire BFG. Big redacted gun challenge is getting Alright, let's see. Rocket launchers. So my health is a little low. But not at a level that I'm super concerned about. The thing is, you don't get any audio-visual feedback when your health is low, as much as you should. Like, quite frankly, you should have a lot more red or noise happening, some kind of beeping sound, some kind of heartbeat, some heavy breathing, something to tell you, hey, your health is below 50%, and in all actuality, even being below 50% is probably a problem, because I think a lot of these demons could easily kill you in one hit above 50. Some of these demons definitely felt like they could one hit kill you at your original health. And we may be in another one of these scenarios where there was really only a couple small enemies left. with guns. We are super low. So let's do this. And that'll fix that problem. Where are you? We've got music playing, so there is one more guy somewhere. These guys are far enough away usually that you can just aim for the head and do that. These guys are a little bit stronger. It would be interesting to see actually what happens when I run out of bullets on the shotgun. So that one glory kill raised my health quite a bit. So yeah, we still very much are having a case of the game being half. Well, geez, that gate was locked, and apparently I could have just speed run through this whole thing. There's a way to just skip the gate completely, unless there's an invisible wall there that disappears after you kill everybody. Well, that would certainly be strange. I suspect that there's a secret somewhere around here, but I'm not seeing anything. And there is kind of a lesser amount of bullets in this environment than in the previous fight, which tells me that it's probably going to get a little bit more difficult. How are we on bullets now? Not in a great position, and we didn't find any fuel refills on the chainsaw, which is slightly concerning. Alright, this'll fix a lot of that problem. And I clearly could have used the BFG one more time, but I won't ever be able to come back and use this. So we used the crucible to destroy this, and then last time we did this, those ancient soldiers, for lack of a better term, those ghosts, that guy shows up and he points that way. I guess it's possible to believe that what is going on here is that this world was at one point inhabited by humans, and the humans were taken over and tortured by demons. And these are supposed to be called rays. Now there's a secret under here. But how would I be able to get to that secret under there? You just crouch down, I guess. So we're still finding secrets. There was no benefit to finding secrets in Doom 1 or Doom 2 other than your own personal satisfaction. Now it feels like every other game. So we unlocked another bit of information about the race. So pause now if you want to read this. Pause now if you want to read the rest of that. And previously there was a secret door that would go to a different area, but it seems like this time we really are just going through this mouth. And I assume that this mouth section previously was closed and you can't just run or jump through this element. And here's another secret behind here that I'd have to find some kind of switch for, or have found some kind of switch for. That does hurt me, standing in that lava. Takes out 10 armor. And there's nothing here, so it's kind of hard to care about anything. Just feels like it's underused. So we gained the weapon upgrade point just for finding that, because it was a secret. And then we're just moving into the end here. Let's see. Again, we could upgrade something, but I'd have to find it. It's not worth even looking for. It's like 2 different BFG things. Here's a guy that is totally worth sniping. I don't see where the imp is. Okay. Oops. I killed something there. Looking at this area, there's a place over here to get a power-up. Maybe I shouldn't immediately grab it though. I guess what I want more than anything would be to not run into a significant amount of trouble with the final boss. So I definitely want to have a like 4 max amount of things, of shots for the BFG when we get to the boss. I'm not doing a great job here. Because I did quad damage there, did that possibly satisfy my need for bullets better? These pinky guys are stronger than I really thought they would have been. Like, yeah, it seems kind of strange how much damage they can do. So even though, like, even at what's going on right now, I'm not really running into big problems. Just slightly running out of weapons. See, thinking about how Doom Eternal might work, and you'll have a flamethrower to gain armor back, you probably at that point are never going to really need you're probably going to never really need health packs at all, and I could imagine you're going to find yourself in a pretty good position. So I use 2 BFGs there. I had to do that. Or I felt the need to do that, certainly. We've got very little of any bullets. That being said, we may very well have just like one little demon. Yep, we're done. So, I think if I got here, and then went here, and then did this, I could have jumped the gates again. So it seems like they've got a whole system in their head of a speedrun concept. But that would only allow me to kind of chicken out and run away from fights. And thus, I guess, cause my own self to not have a very fun experience. Yeah, there's definitely less bullets. We're running into scenarios. Hey, there was an instance where I could grab the ledge. Why did that not work on the previous stairways? Is there any kind of collectibles? No. And I think I've inherently done the one thing I didn't want to do, which is end this fight with fewer... yeah, there's no way I could jump back over through there and get those BFG ammos. So I will be fewer than maximum on the BFG ammo. Still a lot of bullets I'm not picking up. How can I be so low on bullets when I have max everything as far as ammo? And I guess it's just a matter of you would have to learn the exact variety and the exact location of almost every pickup, because clearly these pickups aren't being procedurally generated based on what I need. If that were the case, I would be at full on more things. Particularly, I guess, the shotgun shells and the rocket launcher seem to be things that they expect you to use a lot more, and they kind of expect you to lose more health, but that doesn't make much sense either, because each one of these health things I think is worth 50, and you can only have 200 at max. So I don't know what this statue, what the ghost will point to this time. Probably nothing. Here we have a laughing sound effect. And in that instance, we didn't see anything. So we got another artifact, piece of information on the race. So pause now if you want to read that. Pause, I guess now if you want. Pause now if you want to read the rest of that. Pause now if you want to read the rest of that. I think I showed all that. Just purchase upgrades to get them off the list. I don't know if I'm going to be able to kill 25 people with the BFG. I have 7 shots, but I suspect what I'm about to fight is, hopefully, one would hope, not just a repeat of enemies we had already seen. Or as far as boss fights, so I'm hoping for a new boss that, and yep, this definitely looks like a face that doesn't seem like you would have been able to just jump down here. As for the rest of this map, yeah, there's nothing more that we're gonna do. I imagine this is the final boss fight. I don't see how this could be anything else. Is that Olivia?
They promised me so much.
Yeah, unless she transforms herself into a giant demon, she's gonna be really annoying at the final boss. Olivia, okay, I remember these guys. Olivia is such a non-character in the game. There's like very little to do. Here, let's see. How do we want to really handle this? Let's go with BFG. This is probably the absolute wrong time to do it. So many enemies have been bullet sponges, and this really feels like just another example of that. Tiny bits of damage. I assume my chainsaw ability is not going to work on these. It makes kind of logically no sense at all that the way this whole game kind of works itself into. Let's see. Right here. Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense how there's this technology just being added via magic. This game has never had any like limb dismemberment or anything like that, so I don't expect that I'm supposed to be doing something here. Am I supposed to be aiming for the brain? Was I supposed to be standing on these platforms? I guess I was. Alright, that might explain some things. Alright. So, it feels like we're probably gonna lose. Like, I don't... That's not gonna work. I'm out of ammo now. And yeah, unless the game is gonna just be generous, we're just gonna lose, and that'll be that. So we've had a major difficulty spike because this boss has a different style of fight than anything we've really seen before. So yeah, you're just in a weird position here where you're going to try to hit as much of that as possible. Hitting 2 BFGs at the same time is not what you really want. I hope the health stays on the ground, but I imagine it won't. So just knowing to aim for the brain has changed this experience significantly. And we can see we are at a halfway point where we were struggling otherwise. There you go. I could use some health. We could shoot him with that, I think, and then try to get some health that way. I think that's really the point of this whole thing, is that the BFG is supposed to be your point of support. Alright, so I am officially, for the first time, out of that kind of weapons. I'm low on health, so be nice. So we're down to 1/4 damage. But somehow I just picked up 200 health? How did I do that? What in the world just happened? Did the game help me? Or did I manage to find something on the ground now that we're in like a 3rd stage fight? This kind of fight does not equate well to the way the fights have been up until this point, because the fights that I forgot about the grenades. I could have been using those the whole time. Let's see. Siphon grenade. Is there a punch? Finally. BFG in the mouth with a extra bullet I didn't have. So getting the challenge to kill 20 things with the BFG was not something I could have finished at this point. And so Sam Hayden uses the tether to bring us back after we killed Olivia and assumedly closed the well.
You've won. It's over. You stopped the invasion and closed the portal. But it's come at a price. Argent, Vega, this entire operation. You see, I've watched you work. Come to understand your motivation.
That's funny, I don't understand
You
Doom Guy's
think
motivation.
The only way is to kill them all, leave nothing behind. And you may be right. But we can't just shut it all down. Without Argent energy, it will be worse. I don't expect you to agree. But with this, we can continue our work. I am
Surprise,
not
surprise.
the villain in this story. I do what I do because there is no choice.
Rerouting tethered coordinates complete.
Our time is up. I can't kill you, but I won't have you standing in our way
So it does turn into a big sword.
until we see each other again.
And so they just leave you on that cliffhanger for Doom Eternal, which you kind of need to fight Sam Hayden, if not completely kill him in Doom Eternal. I don't think you can really make a trilogy out of this series. I think instead you probably want to do them in groupings of 2. Trilogies, as far as games go, don't usually work anyways. The third game is always a bit of a letdown, so doing a main game, a sequel, and then a beginning of a new pair in the third and fourth game probably is a better move. A lot of the feeling of this game, I think, is based around the music, as we're listening to music and looking at the credits here. And I, in particular, am immune to that because I have no rhythm or taste in music whatsoever. Never have. So while I do kind of like the music and see that it's appropriate and that it is building an emotion around that, the truth is this game wasn't really good. It's not anything but a cheap first-person shooter clone that stole several ideas from several other games. I won't just say Dead Space, but Dead Space definitely is in there. The demons that we fight here are 100% remakes of demons from the first 2 Doom games. So instead of iterating and adding new demons, they've just reskinned things. That means that in Doom Eternal, if they really, really wanted to improve, they should have as many enemies that are new as enemies that we've seen in this game. And frankly, that should have been the case here. The id Tech engine that this was built on does not seem like it's worth using at all. And I'm thinking now, maybe it's not even being used in Doom Eternal. I suspect it still is. That'd be really silly if it wasn't, but if you were to make this exact same game in Unreal, you would have more things that looked better, that act with real-world physics on them. The story writing, as we see Olivia appears here, is non-existent or generic and bad at the best. It is a slap in the face for Sam Hayden to say you understand Doom Guy's motivation when Doom Guy has been clearly designed to be this just player character replacement with no motivation. When Doom Guy really had he had more character in Doom 1 and 2 because you'd get lines of dialogue that were assumedly from Doom guys' perspective. Looking at the credits here and the way they're being depicted, you only do credits like this when there's not a significant amount of people that worked on the team, and I really am not seeing a lot of names. And there's a lot of animation going on here, which makes no sense. Why would you spend your budget to animate the final cutscene? These night characters don't play any role at all. I guess maybe they're in the multiplayer or the SnapMap or something like that. I have no clue. That probably was a trailer at the end. So then we get into more credits. And there's a reason why you see credits like this in games. It's the bare minimum to do the right thing historically and credit people who actually worked on the game without taking money from the budget to do animation, which is what we were seeing before. That's unnecessary. That's really, really unnecessary. It's probably unnecessary even when it's done in movies, quite frankly. But yeah, there definitely was elements to this game where the budget was misappropriated, particularly in the multiplayer and SnapMap. I am not one of the group that thinks Doom is a multiplayer game. I think Quake is by far much more of a multiplayer game. So the fact that really a third of this game is the single player experience and then a third of this game is multiplayer, which you can't play now in 2019, I'm sure, because nobody's really playing it, or very few people are playing it. And even if you did find a match, you probably are playing against people who have played this since launch, and they're going to be very, very good at it. The SnapMap stuff, which is really just design your own levels and then have people play it on a multiplayer level, that doesn't make really any sense to want to do that. I would have been, frankly, a lot happier with the level design had they just reskinned all of the levels from the original Doom. Doom 1, Doom 2. Doom 1, Episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, Doom 2. That would have given you, in numbers, a lot more levels, smaller levels, which would have been more manageable, more open world levels, things that are that were way more thought out. The levels that we saw in this single player are not thought out well at all. There was one level where I missed at least 50% of it just by not going down to a lower height, and that's not something that should have been possible to do. There should have been a key down there or a reason to go down there. Even when you get away from the level design, the conflicts that you run into are all the same. And as a fan of the Borderlands series, where you're getting into shootout after shootout after shootout, and they're all very, very similar, and I was never bored or irritated by individual encounters or conflicts in Borderlands. I was very quickly bored by the encounters I was running through with most of Doom. Really, the last 3 levels of this game are the best 3 levels by far, and if you could just skip to the last 3 levels, that feels like that's where they spent 90% of their development. Is once we started having actual boss fights and actual story progression. There really are only 3 boss fights, whereas you could have easily had a boss at the end of every level. The first level could have been just possessed and a zombie-esque level on Mars where it was just humans, but there was a lot of them, but clearly the id Tech engine couldn't handle that. And then the next level could be imps, and the next level could have been the flying eyes, because each level introduced at least 1 or 2 enemies, so it would have made a lot of sense if there was a final boss fight in each level like that. But that really didn't happen. I'm still not 100% sold on the chainsaw mechanic, the rock, paper, scissors-esque gameplay mechanic where you are forced to run out of bullets because every single character, even on easy, is a bullet sponge. It must literally be a nightmare to play on nightmare mode, because I can only assume need 2 or 3 times as many bullets to kill any of the larger demons, and that would mean you would run out of bullets very quickly. So maybe it doesn't take any more bullets to kill enemies on nightmare mode and you just take more damage. But even if that is the case, which I heavily suspect it isn't, playing on the higher difficulty and taking more damage would just have you die a lot more and then reload from checkpoint and try again over and over again, and that would be incredibly frustrating. I died several times in this game, mostly from falling into the void, but with the final boss fight, dying there is certainly a power fantasy killer. It makes it feel like, oh, this is more difficult than it was. And the fact that the final boss really needed to be shot in its exposed brain is not something that has been telegraphed before at all. You've been able to mostly shoot things in between their eyes, in their face, and do major damage. None of the other demons, as far as I tell, had any specifically targetable sections. And that goes to show, had anybody thought about there being targetable areas in the game, there should have been some kind of ability or to lock in on those parts or see those parts. Usually that's done by having something highlighted in a specific color or anything. So we get that highlight when we can do the glory kills. Why can't we get a highlight in similar or at least a slightly different color tone? I imagine the pinkies that would crash into you if you shot them from behind took more damage, and I guess the explosive canisters on the possessed, I think is what they were called, are a target to shoot. But there needed to be a rune or something that you were given very early in the game, some kind of ability to turn that on or off to see the weak spots, because mostly I've just been bullet sponging enemies. Now that we see these credits, there is quite a few names, which feels more accurate, but some of these names are from just the parent company, ZeniMax, which means they really didn't work on the game proper. And some of these games, it looks like there's at least 2 or 3 different companies that were assigned different projects for this, which is not unheard of, but looks like one company made SnapMap and one company made the single player experience. I would heavily suspect that there was at least a couple of teams that made the levels individually, because those later levels had doors to open and hatches to jump through, and those early levels didn't really have anything like that. Well, they kind of did, but they weren't as prevalent. It's important not to skip over the fact that there's an incredible amount of loading in between each level for no reason when you're playing in single player. That there have been bugs in this game that I've run through, and this hasn't been a particularly long amount of gameplay to justify running into bugs. Video glitches, the point where half the screen was in a red tint and half of the screen was in no tint, the point where the gun literally would not fire, and that glitched out. Things certainly happened and I wasn't sure what was happening because the game didn't telegraph things. I have no clue how I got 200 health in the middle of that fight. It's as if a 200 health thing spawned right behind me and I walked on it. And see, now we're just getting ZeniMax credits from sales managers. ZeniMax as a company, I think it's worth mentioning, is a highly litigious company, and clearly it's an example of a too large of a mega corporation, a la Ubisoft or EA. But I would say ZeniMax in particular is way worse, because they're not really averaging a high amount of games getting developed or a high amount of good games being made when they do develop games. Instead, they just kind of run Bethesda, and Bethesda arguably hasn't made a good game since Fallout 3, or since they licensed out Fallout New Vegas. And many people would argue that Fallout New Vegas is the better Fallout. Skyrim might be their last good game. And id Software has not made anything in a very long time before this game came out, and when this came out, it got a lot of coverage and a lot of praise. I do want to check out the arcade mode, but I'm fairly certain the arcade mode was patched in, so it wasn't there at the beginning. I could see where people who enjoyed the mindless brutality of the Doom games would enjoy just doing kind of a arcade style horde mode over and over again until they died. I assume that's what arcade mode is. Or it gives you some kind of score after each encounter or conflict with the demons, which then makes it sort of like a Devil May Cry if it was a first-person shooter game. So I'm in a weird position now, knowing Doom Eternal is coming, and frankly, I don't think it would be out by the time this airs, but I'm not super motivated to want to play it. I would want to play it eventually, certainly, but it doesn't feel like I'd want to spend $60 on Doom Eternal. I wouldn't really want to spend $60 on this game. This is a $20 game in my book, something that's fine. Certainly brings back some nostalgia for Doom, particularly if people played the original Dooms, but it doesn't really replace or even act as a good successor to Doom. In a lot of ways, it just hit more successfully than what Doom 3 tried to do, which was to turn Doom 1 and 2, which were action first-person shooters, into a horror first-person shooter. They took the horror out in this reboot, but they did convert it to a platformer, which really isn't what the original Doom game was. There was a little bit of jumping, but not a lot. We also had the glitch in which we went to the menu and couldn't even see the collectible dolls, which would have been nice. So now we're getting some credits for some kind of DLC that I don't know where this DLC expansion is. Did it just get integrated into the main game? I have a hard time believing that, because none of the levels we played up to this point feel like they could have been added content. This is slow. Let me see if I can speed this up in some way with the right stick or left stick. Nope. Really long credits here. I am 100% for crediting people. It's the right thing to do historically. almost everybody agrees with that, with the exception of the original Atari, which went out of business. But I am also totally cool with them, instead of doing 2 columns, doing 3 or 4 columns. These credit scrolls are slow, and at the end of the day, you would want people to kind of see these if they want to see them, but not be forced into them. I can press B to skip, yes, but I would like to find a happy medium. I don't see a problem with doing 3 columns to speed things up, particularly when you know how long all of this is going to be. Doom Unto Evil 2016. Unto the Evil. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Is there more DLC here? Is there more game after the credits? I would be surprised. And so it just threw us back to the menu. And in the entirety of playing this game, we went from this update to this update, so they're certainly not putting out a lot of updates. So back to the campaign, and game is complete. And let's look at the collectibles. So we got all but 2, but 3. So everything else is found. And with each of these that we found, there's an animation 3D model viewer. See, in this stuff, the 3D model viewer is really just something that's built into most engines as a way of, what is this called, a Helgard? It's built into the engines so that the artists can view the way their software is being modeled, and then it is locked behind finding collectibles, as if that's something people would really care about at all. Particularly in this game, I don't have a huge desire to see Olivia Pierce or Samuel Hayden's model. So yeah, you see there's a slightly pinkish hue here on the back, but there's nothing here that really glows and seems like it would be a place to target. If anything, it's the eyes that are glowing, so I'd assume that was their weak point. And maybe the chest is the weak point, or the back is the weak point on that. If that was the focus of this game, was to find weak points, they certainly didn't teach me that in the gameplay. This exploding barrel on the front being red, that is a little obvious, and they did tell us about that. So I don't know what the exact amount of enemies are in this game, but you can kind of see that if there's 20 on this screen with another 28, this looks like Commander Keen. It's colored to look like Commander Keen, so that's why it's called Keen Guy. So there's like 30 collectibles in total, and I guess I could go in here and look. We turned off the compass and the combat rating, so I guess the combat rating was something you could have gotten. But it didn't really seem to matter. It was just on the screen. And all of these advanced things are just graphics elements. I'm not a big fan of the layout of how things worked either. And we can go back and do, it looks like any of these, including ones we've already done, which then makes me wonder Yeah. Why? This is super easy. So did I get it? Or did I just run out of time there? So yeah, you could do these rune trials over and over again if you wanted to. But I don't think that means you'd unlock them all in the actual game. And see, there's very little reason I think that I'd want to go back and play a level. The only thing I want to see is, will everything be unlocked at this point? Can I use the BFG at this beginning load screen, which I don't think, I guess you would have ever seen this load screen in the original game. So yeah, I have just like every gun I could possibly want, including the BFG, which makes it super easy, although it doesn't seem like my bullets are full. And there's like a secret that I missed, and I believe I missed it right here, that there's some kind of switch around here to get to that point. And that's the auto map section. But do I really even need the auto map section, because I've played this entire game? And yeah, it starts you in a different place than if you were to start the game normally. Yeah. Now that you have the double jump, there's definitely places I imagine you can reach. But what's the point here? Are you trying to have a mad run through the place? Or like, is this really any more fun to play a level like this now that you've unlocked everything? You're not super stronger because you're still fighting the same enemies. It's really just a matter of the assortment of enemies and how many of them are in the game. You're not punching any harder. You could potentially try to use the super shotgun and get them. Get something from that. So Yeah. Seems like sometimes you hit an invisible wall, and that invisible wall specifically doesn't allow for you to reach where you want to go in the high locations. Yeah, there's, I imagine, ways that you could line up these shots like this and try to super shotgun your way into a mastery up with it. But at this point, it doesn't, you don't feel more powerful, you just feel like you're doing the same thing a second time. Alright, so somewhere around here is a switch. So the question is, where is that switch? Which really could be anywhere, and it wouldn't feel out of place at all. And you're not really going to be looking for like better fight kill skill things, because that's not even in this level. So you'd have to go further in the game to get to the point where you were getting weapon upgrades. Here's something. So with a double jump you can get up here. You wouldn't have been able to get up here before. But there's nothing here. So I definitely see that there's a problem with trying to run around, because if you, as you are trying to run around, you're running into problems of having a bunch of guys show up and be in the wrong area for where you're looking. Yeah, I heavily suspect the switch would be in this area somewhere. But I'm not seeing anything. We never got in a vehicle like this or used it for anything. That's almost certainly something they had planned on using. This hanging element seems to have nothing to do with anything. So you'd basically have to play this game with a walkthrough a second time to get everything. Yeah. It's not believable that I would be able to find that switch, which is somewhere around here. These upgrades don't do anything now because I've already collected them. really lost the whole Mars aspect too. Like, it really is only like 3 levels before the dusty Mars world becomes the demonic filled world that you see in the rest of the game, or the hell dimension. Of course, looks like hell all the time. Yeah, you're playing very silly, lining up 2 enemies at a time to use the super shotgun. I guess since the super shotgun wasn't unlocked at this level, they really didn't balance it in any way for that to be a concern. Yeah, even in the second playthrough, I'm not really succeeding in finding the switch. I doubt the switch is somewhere. Maybe this is something? No, not really. Like, we are really far from that area. The odds that the switch is this far away seems unlikely. Yeah, really doesn't feel like that would be the case. So yeah, I can't even find it. Here's an interesting question we should answer. What would happen if we just save and exit to the main menu? Does that wrap up the level? Doesn't seem like it does, so you can't jump in and play to a certain point, to a certain secret. So you would have to run through the entirety of the game. I know this is a slow wrapping up experience that we're having here. We're going to go a little bit long, but yeah. After this first level, I assume I would have to play through the entire level to keep the progress of finding all the secrets in these further sections. Foundry didn't get all 5 of the encounter weapon upgrade points. We could easily get that. And with more secrets, I think that's more weapon upgrades. And Resource Operations has one of the Praetor units. But as far as Field Drone unlocks, we unlocked all of those. There's a couple places where this level is the level I missed half of the entire level, so I didn't get the 2 rune trials there. But it looks like I unlocked all the other rune trials. I just didn't achieve the rune trials. As far as classic maps, we only found 4 of them, so I imagine there is probably at least 4 more. I wouldn't be surprised if we came down to this. I wouldn't be surprised if every secret that we missed here equals a new classic map, or at least one of these does. So there's probably 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's even 9 or yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's 9 classic maps we haven't unlocked. So then let's just look at arcade mode. It's straight up a skill-based experience. So boost your score multiplier, dealing damage increases your score multiplier, earn medals with stylish kills. You get an achievement if you earn all the medals. So you have 2 guns that are all lined up, and you have different things that you could change as far as the runes that are all at max. The only thing I guess that's not at max is ammo boost, which I imagine they wanted that so you don't gather a bunch of ammo.
3, 2, 1, go.
So there is a score for time in the top left corner, just a full-on breadcrumb of armor, and then there's a mine that seems to be and so you would just be doing the same thing. And frankly, I want to like, you kind of have to just constantly kill things, and so in this system you probably don't have a lot of time to pull off things. I found a relic, and apparently there's like 3 of those in each level. But running around and finding things doesn't seem like it's the best move. And see, what I think I want to see here is I'm just going to let him punch me and kill me and see if that just ends this level. I really have no ambition or desire to play this game this way. Seems like they gave me more health. See, at this point you should be getting more than just red on the screen. Alright, so I got 14,150 score. To get a bronze I would have needed 375,000, and to get a gold you'd want 600,000. No platinums, so not even much of a score system here. Let's see. Let's see if we can change the leaderboard filter. The cheaters at the top 10 have claimed they have 7 million damage, but I heavily suspect that's not true, because when you look at level rank 4 versus rank 5, it's double the amount of damage, and even at that point the level rank 10 is still at 2 million, and I suspect that that's less than likely to actually happen. Of all the things you could have gotten, there is a bonus to get multi-kill, super kill, a barrel kill, glory kills, death from above, headshots, direct hit kills, stunned kills, mid-air kills, and a triple hit. And then there's a golden relic, a silver relic bonus, and a bronze bonus, and an extra life thing. So it's actually very helpful to just lose your first level, first play of this, so that you know what you're looking for. But yeah, this is nothing, and then I just hit B and it's doing nothing. Oh man, I hit the wrong button. Well, let's go back to the main menu. So with Doom 2016, I'm not that impressed, and this is gonna just load a completely different application, so I have no idea if this is even showing, but this is a good, I think, example of how much loading goes on when you first launch Doom. Incredible amount of loading going on here just to get it to the main menu. Bad engine, clearly a bad engine, not even connected to the SnapMap mode, because here, as we're loading in the SnapMap, it's not working. And this is taking so long, I'm just going to Alt-Tab out to make sure that my recording software is actually recording it. And that actually may have just crashed it. I may have to Alt-Tab back into it now. But that potentially has crashed it now at 35%. Well, I wanted to kind of look at that, but you can see now, buggy. Whatever SnapMap is, I have no interest in playing it. In the same way, I have no interest in playing, in playing well, it went up to 36% this time. So maybe it will start jumping back up and finish now that it's Alt-tabbed back in. Yep. I really feel like Doom 2016 was just overhyped, frankly. Admittedly, I'm not a first-person shooter super fan. It went to 100%, and let's see. Do we want to create one now? So you need a Doom ID to even work on this. So the whole idea is that to make the fans create maps and then come in every week and play these maps. We could look at the newest maps. I wouldn't be surprised if yeah, this newest map here has a creation date of 6/23/2019, which I believe, since it is June 23, that probably is today, as of this recording. So people are still making maps, but looks like by the stats of these, only one person has played them, or one person has liked them. So there's not a thriving community here. Here's Borderlands and Doom. Just go play Borderlands. Looks like a lot of these SnapMap things are trolls or experiments. Yeah, I have no idea why I would want to create a map, to download maps. This really feels like they just wanted to have something that wasn't a Steam Workshop mod ability, which is really where this game would have been a lot better if it was just more open source and allowed for more mods, a la Skyrim. And I get the idea there of trying to have a Skyrim style game where you could just play over and over again at the same game. But that the mods you would want in this game in particular is I'd like to see mods that change the maps in the main storyline so that they were more open world and better thought out. I'd like to see a mod that adds twice as many enemies, all the little problems. I'd like to see the bugs fixed, and you can't do that in SnapMap. All SnapMap is going to be is a Mario level maker design that is just way less popular than Mario Maker would be, because it doesn't have that much nostalgia. And there's a big difference between people making custom WAD files for Doom 1, the original Doom 1, and having to go through a service that requires you to log in and make an account and work within their system. To SnapMap is kind of accurate in its description. You're basically just playing a little Lego with the levels and snapping one square to another square. You're not doing custom design that you would expect to want to have. Here it seems like you get some kind of snap points and you get maybe some challenges, which I'm not sure what the challenges in general would unlock, and then play this whole second multiplayer feature, even though there's already one multiplayer feature. And it's really, really crazy to have two different games or two different multiplayers. But that's totally something I could see ZeniMax wanting to do. On a good point, I guess, with the two different multiplayers, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of in-app purchases or loot boxes or anything like that. That may have been their plan for Doom Eternal, but people have turned around against loot boxes enough to realize that's not a good thing. So, alright, let's wrap up here on this music, as it's too loud. Doom 2016. I'm glad it exists. I'm not sure I really like it. I think it was way overhyped. If you want mindless monster slaying, I think you'll have a decent time, but even playing on easy, it was a little long and a little difficult in some places. So it probably needs a very easy mode for people who aren't great at first-person shooting. Now, if you're great at first-person shooting, I guess you could probably play the game on a more difficult or higher difficult setting. Maybe that would put more enemies. Maybe that would speed up the pace a little bit. I certainly could see that as a lot of the conflicts happened, there would be one imp or one demon somewhere in the corner of an area that you would just have to run around and try and find. Maybe with more enemies or smarter enemies that ran towards you more often, that would get alleviated. But I don't feel like there's anything majorly special here for the amount of praise this game got. In fact, I feel like it was John Romero or James Cameron. I don't think either one of them probably worked on this game. The people who worked on and created Doom 1 and Doom 2. Had they actually worked on it, they probably would have had more passion in it and put some more logic into the design and levels. And I feel like this was an under-budget title that is far too short. Now, Doom Eternal promises to be a little bit more single-player focused, so there might be a bit better of a game there. That being said, Doom Eternal, even before it's getting released, feels like it's getting a little overhyped already. So, again, I don't want to purchase Doom Eternal and play it until it's down to like $20. So, maybe this time in a couple of years, I'll play Doom Eternal. I don't really see a reason why in 12 months, though, that I would need to play it. It seems like it's not going to be that good. I would like to see the Doom franchise continue. It definitely was a mistake for them to stop making Doom games and instead focus on just making level packs for Doom 2. If there had been more consistent, better iterations of the Doom id Tech engine, then you wouldn't run into the problems that we see now, where the id Tech engine just feels like an older generation engine instead of something that should be used in modern times, and you'd see a lot less bugs and a lot more features. I could imagine, had they been iterating on the id Tech engine the whole time, the Unreal Engine would have never come to the rise of popularity that it is at right now, where it's used by, I would guess, almost a third of all games being made, probably less than that, but it is a top tier engine, or at the very least id Tech would be better than the Crysis engine. People would be really, really happy with the level of features and graphics fidelity that the id Tech engine has. It had it been more polished, and we wouldn't have ever been talking about the Crysis engine in comparison. But yeah, id Tech clearly didn't do what they wanted to do, and it is fair to mention that now that E3 has happened, Commander Keen, which is also a id Tech game, is just being resold as a mobile game. So it doesn't really feel like id Tech still wants to make games. That ZeniMax is, I assume, telling them they have to make Doom Eternal because Doom 2016 was successful. But otherwise, I think they would like to just go back into the go back into not the spotlight, but the corner that they probably live in, and work on the engine more without actually ever turning out a product. Well, that's going to be it for this series. I'm not hugely disappointed in Doom 2016, but I am a little bit with the hype, and there's kind of nothing special here. I need more story, I need better levels, I need more variety, and even though this game is pretty fast, there are also a lot of points where it got really slow. Compared to SnapMap too, a mod that would have just made the enemies die in half the amount of shots would be very much appreciated, and that's not something you could do in SnapMap. If I could have played the entire game and one-shot a lot of these people, that would have been great. Or if even going back after unlocking everything, if I could have one-shotted every character, that would have been great. And maybe there's a rune combination that causes that to happen, but I don't see a real way in which that's going to work. That's it for this series, though. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Now, when you subscribe, there's a notification bell. You have to click the notification bell and then click the triangle to make sure you're getting all notifications instead of just getting notifications that YouTube thinks you want, which means you probably won't get notifications. I have people telling me that I haven't posted videos for like months or years, and I tell them no, I've been very consistent with posting videos and live streams every single day basically on my channel, and you're just not getting notifications. Speaking of live streams, I do talk about video game news while I'm playing Hearthstone and looking at all the games that come out on Steam every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you can subscribe to see those also if that interests you. And I have over 5,000 videos on my YouTube channel, so there's plenty of videos that if you go to the playlist tab, there's a playlist for every game I've covered from beginning to end, almost all of them. So there are definitely other games. I would definitely suggest checking out Dead Space and seeing how much better Dead Space is as a game and how much more consistent the level design and the story is compared to this, since Doom seems to have stolen a lot of those concepts. Also, I would say check out like Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2. Those are much better first-person shooter games with loot and RPG elements, and this game kind of went into the RPG realm when it really didn't need to. And yeah, otherwise, down below I have a bunch of lists to social media sites where you can friend or follow me, which would be a great way to get backup notifications in case YouTube doesn't give you any. And if you want to support my channel, which would be very much appreciated, there's a link down to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list, or you could just gift me a gift card or any game you'd like to see me cover. If someone was, for instance, to gift me Doom Eternal when it comes out, that would be a heavily helpful motivation for me to cover it next Halloween instead of waiting until it went on sale. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.